Well, hello and welcome to the Bumper to Bumper podcast. I am Dave Riccio here along with John Riggle, and together we're helping you with your car. And John, there's so many different topics on cars. It's no wonder people are confused. They have no idea about cars.
Oh, yeah.
And people walk in and they say, "Hey, I don't know anything about cars." I say, "Oh, either do I." Makes them comfortable for sure,
There's days I feel like I don't.
right? So one of the things that comes up, because we are we do everything, but we are primarily a transmission shop or our background. But one thing we run into is transfer case failures and a big expensive repair, and it totally surprises the heck out of people, and it all comes down to the tire shop.
Well, yeah.
And people don't know it because I make the phone call, and I'm going to just pick an example of a late model Ford Explorer. Somebody goes down, they get a flat tire, maybe hit a curb, something like that.
Mhm.
They need a tire. Well, most people know you don't just buy one tire, you buy two. So they go ahead and buy two tires. Well, the problem with that is we got two brand new tires that are and tires are like shoes. You know,
Mhm.
a 9 inch in a Reebok is different than or a size 9
Yeah.
in a Nike. So tires are like that. So in the back of the car, they got some Michelins. On the front of the car, now they got Goodyears or whatever it may be, whatever the
Yeah.
brand is. So even that or two are brand new, even if it's the same size tire, they
Mhm.
could have come out of different batches, different wear on them, that kind of thing. But you get two tires in within a couple of weeks or maybe a month, you're coming down to see me, and I
Yeah.
call you and tell you it's going to be super expensive. And
Yeah.
it's related to tires. So how do you spot those problems in the bay?
Oh, I use a real simple tool. I use a stagger gauge.
Okay.
But we have to get there first, and I think that's one of the most important things is people. How do people find out they've got a problem? So we just had that one the other day, and her complaint was a weird noise
Weird
in it.
noise.
Remember that
Ah, that one was
noise?
hard to find.
Yeah, yeah, and it was like on a D-cell, and we'd start to get back into it, and you'd get a big vibration groan
Yeah.
from the middle of the car, and it took me a minute. I'm like, I think this is transfer case. They thought it was transmission naturally,
Right.
and I'm like, I don't think so. This isn't a transmission noise. And then it dawned on me when I was looking at the car. I'm like, oh, the back tires are brand new on this thing. So I grabbed
Right.
our stagger gauge. We have a stagger gauge that's calibrated. I can walk up to the car, slip it over the edges of the tires, and it's just like a big caliper.
Yeah, micrometer for the or like
And it's calibrated in inches, and we can measure the circumference of the tires that way real quickly. And this one, there was a 1 inch difference between the circumference of the front tires and the circumference of the rear tires, and that's a lot. We allow 1/4 inch is real normal.
Mhm.
1/2 inch is starting to push it.
threshold.
Anything more than 1/2 inch, man, I get up to 3/4 of an inch or an inch, and now I worry about tearing up things in the transfer case.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is if you've got an all-wheel drive car. And a
Mhm.
lot of cars are all-wheel drive, and people don't even know. They just, hey, I like the car, I bought it. They don't really think about the fact that it is all-wheel drive. It
Yep.
sounds nice. It's an extra little bell or whistle. But it's one of those things where now you got to consider if you're replacing tires, you may have to replace 4 at a time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's different types of four-wheel drive systems. Most modern cars, are primarily a front-wheel drive vehicle.
Mhm.
And then they have a transfer case hanging on the side of the transmission, and they shoot a drive shaft back to the rear axle
Fair enough.
to
Yep.
drive that.
Yep.
So all those things need to spin at the same rate of speed,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah.
And if you put different size tires, when we're talking about a 1/2 inch difference in circumference, so not the radius,
Right.
but the full, if you ran a tape measure all the way around the tire, connected it, and that would be the circumference.
Yep.
So if you have more than a 1/2 inch of circumference, you could run into a problem, depending on the type of system it is.
Yep.
So here's another way we could look at it, is if you take an all-wheel drive vehicle and you put a chalk mark on the rear tire at 6 o'clock, you go to the front tire, you put a chalk mark at 6 o'clock, and then you drive it 100 yards,
Mhm.
those in a straight line,
In a straight line.
those chalk marks should be exactly at the same place,
Yep.
within reason.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be perfect,
Yeah.
but they're going to be pretty close.
Should be pretty close, but yeah, if you've got a 1/2 inch of stagger, you'll spot it in 10 feet. It'll start to walk off on you pretty darn quick. Just a couple of revolutions of the tire, you'll see them you'll see them to start to walk off.
Right, right. So in this case, this one we had the other day, and why it's fresh on our mind is we did a transmission for a lady a year ago, and it was an all-wheel drive vehicle. Hers was full-time all-wheel drive.
Yes.
So that's a big distinguisher. There's full-time and there's part-time all-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
So some you got to turn a switch or a button to make it go into all-wheel drive mode, and then others you got no say-so.
Yep.
It's just an all-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones that are all-wheel drive all the time, full-time, those are the ones where you really got to be careful.
Yeah.
The ones that are selectable, where you can turn it on or turn it off, probably a little more grace there.
Yeah, yeah, and some of them use clutches in the transfer case, so they can manipulate the power distribution of the wheels, but
Even that's burned up because it's thrown off by having two different size tires.
yeah, they kind of we still have to consider what is going on there. And the other thing is, so the full-time all-wheel drive ones, a lot of these cars have some of the guys will call it an angle gear. It is just a pinion gear and a ring gear inside a little housing, and that's all they are. And they're little bitty things. They're not like you remember a big transfer case. They're just little bitty things. And there's no clutches in these systems. There's no nothing. They really rely on the tires all being really close to the same circumference on the things to work. And as soon as we go out a little bit, man, we put all kinds of stress. There's a ton of stress on these systems when they try to rotate these components at speeds different than what they were supposed to be at.
So in this lady's case, she had been to the tire store that we decided, this is going to be related to the tire size. Yeah. And I called her up and I said, all right, Delaney, when you first hear this noise, I noticed you got a couple of new tires on there. She goes, yeah. She goes, I noticed it just after I got those new tires, and I took it back, and they said, no, it had nothing to do with the tires.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it had everything to do with the tires.
Yeah.
And so I don't remember how much stagger difference there was on that one.
It was like an inch. It was big.
Pretty significant.
I was actually shocked they did it.
And she went to a big name tire store. I go back there. They'll change them out, and if there's any problems, they're a brand of people that would take care of it.
Yeah,
you know, if it damaged the transfer case.
Well, like I said, I was surprised. That particular outfit usually spots the all-wheel drive cars, and they usually really push them to buy four tires, sets of four. And I was a little surprised that it didn't happen. Kind of slid through the cracks there.
So if you have an all-wheel drive car, you got to consider you can't buy two tires anymore. In the old days, you could. It was like, we buy two tires. You got to buy four at a time now, which is kind of a bummer because what if you got tires that are half worn and you pop one?
Yeah.
Like, well, do I just replace the one? Well, you don't replace one, you replace two, and then. But you brought up a good point.
Yeah.
There is a tire distributor tire rack, which if you got an all-wheel drive car, they will actually take a tire and shave it down to half wear to match the other four.
Yeah.
I didn't know they offered that service.
Yeah.
I don't know what it does to the tire manufacturer's warranty on the tire. Probably voids it, I would imagine. But instead of buying four tires, you just buy one that's factory shaved or distributor shaved so that it fits.
That is an option. I don't know many places that do it. As far as I know, Tire Rack is the only. There's some race car shops out there and stuff where guys shave tires and stuff, but not on a production basis.
So full-time and part-time. And then, if you are out buying a car, shopping a car, do you want an all-wheel drive? Here in the Valley, I don't know that you need one. I mean, maybe it rains twice a year. I
tell people all the time, I always have people bringing me cars to look at them and ask me about them. And I'm like, do you have a use for it? You have to have a use for it if you're going to do it. Because here in the Valley, all-wheel drive makes no sense. We don't have enough, snow, cold, rain.
But if you lived in Flagstaff, just 2 hours up the road,
fair enough.
There's a ton of Subarus in that town. Subaru is kind of that all-wheel drive car in the days.
Yeah. But to have the all-wheel drive without having a specific need for it adds a lot of complexity and expense to the car over time. If it's something you're going to keep, you'll wind up with a little expense there.
People come in, and when they have a problem with their transfer case or their four-wheel drive, I say, "Hey, your transfer case has got a bad bearing in it, and it's going to be this much money." They go, "Well, I don't even use it."
Yeah,
it's always in use.
Yeah,
there's always power going through it, so they need to be serviced. Speaking of service, I mean, I would say as a safe rule of thumb,
Yeah.
every 50,000 miles, transfer cases should be serviced
Oh,
where
yeah.
the fluid gets changed.
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
So-
well, and the other thing we have to watch for is leaks on those little angle gears.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those hold less than a quart of fluid.
Yes.
That's not very much fluid. So a small leak on
Is a
one of
big
those,
leak.
yeah, it turns into a big leak. I have
Real
them rolling
quick.
here, with the axle seal leaking, and they're totally empty and burn up.
So we're on this end, we're repairing stuff that went wrong, and tires being one of them, leaks being another, because they do get small leaks. And it's, if you got an engine oil leak or that holds, 6, 7 quarts,
Yeah,
you see a spot on the driveway, you're not totally losing sleep.
yeah, yeah.
But if it's a transfer case and you see a spot on the driveway, not that you're going to know that unless you're up underneath the car,
Yeah, you're not.
but you're not going to, it's going to be quick. Right now we have a Land Rover that's all-wheel drive,
Yeah.
and it's got a leak, and we can't
Yeah.
tell if it's leaking from the engine or from the, from the transmission
case.
or from the transfer case,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
where they meet up together,
Yep.
and so we're going to have to pull it apart and see what happened.
Yep.
See what's going on with it. So anyway, all-wheel drives, got to buy 4 tires. If you don't, you got to have some good advice on how to do it right, and if your vehicle can get away with it. But it is a consideration when you purchase an all-wheel drive vehicle. Do you really need an all-wheel drive vehicle? Extra compressor, everything gets more expensive when you fix it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
anyway, thanks for joining us on the Bumper to Bumper show. Be sure to like us if you found this information helpful, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Well, hello, I'm Dave Riccio, your host of the Bumper to Bumper podcast, and I would like to thank you for tuning in. If you want one of your car questions to be answered on our podcast, tap the link in the description for a chance to have your question featured. And while you are there, we would love for you to like and subscribe to see more Bumper to Bumper podcasts in the future.